In this video, we have a trigonometric equation we want to solve for solutions on the interval from 0 to 2 pi. So let's go ahead and start by writing everything on one side of the equation. So we've got sine of 2x. Bringing the cosine over makes it a minus cosine of x is equal to 0. It's always nice if we can get an equation to factor or isolate the functions. Better if we have the same function, sine and sine, or cosine and cosine. But in this case, we have an identity for the sine of 2x. That's the same thing as 2 sine of x times cosine of x. And you've got minus cosine. So we would like to have only one function, one trig function. Easy to solve. Maybe factor it, use the quadratic formula, or we can separate them. So in this case we have sine and cosine, but if we factor out the cosine function, then we're left with 2 sine of x minus 1. So now we're just solving this equation using factoring. And even though we have a sine and a cosine function, when we set each factor equal to 0, it's going to separate them. The product of two factors is 0 if one or each factor of these is 0. So we just set each factor equal to 0. So this is possible if cosine of x is 0 or 2 sine of x minus 1 is equal to 0. So just like we do when we're solving quadratic equations, we can factor, we can use the quadratic formula. So here we have it set up. It's two separate equations, so we can solve this one right here. Cosine of x is equal to 0 if x is equal to what angle? This one is pretty straightforward. And again, it wants the answer in radians. Now you can solve it for solutions in degrees and then convert. But in this case, we know using a calculator or just by knowing it, the cosine of 90 is 0. Remember, we want angles in this interval here from 0 to 2 pi. So 90 degrees or pi over 2 has a cosine of 0, so this is going to work. 270 degrees will also work. Cosine of that will be 0 or 3 pi over 2. And then setting this one equal, solving this for sine of x, so this will give me 2 sine x. Adding 1 to both sides will give me 1 here. Then dividing by 2, I get sine of x is equal to 1/2. So what angle has a sine of 1/2? You can use a calculator, or you can recognize that as one of your, and we get this as 30 degrees in, or pi over 6 is one solution. Again, pi over 6 or 30 degrees, use that as your reference angle to get the other solution in the interval. So if this angle here is pi over 6 or 30 degrees, then another angle that will work here, because the y component is positive, so I want to get a positive answer, in this case 1/2. So if this is your reference angle, pi over 6 or 30 degrees, then another angle that'll work is going to be 180 minus the 30, or 150. And in radians, that can be written as 5 pi over 6. So these are your solutions. So we can put them all together. Pi over 6, pi over 2, pi over 6, and 3 pi over 2. So these are your solutions. And again, you can find them all in degrees, and then just multiply it by pi over 6, or pi over 180, as I say. Make this degrees, and then see, this will be 30 degrees. The degrees cancel out, and 30 into 180 is 6, and the same thing with the other ones. So you can just do it in degrees, and then multiply the result by pi over 180, and your answer will be in radians. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.